and welcome back to my channel. This is Lentisa with Nani, and here on this channel I upload tutorials every week. So if you like the sound of that, please consider subscribing to this channel. Today I want to show us how to make a cowl dress with a zigzag neckline. Okay, I've already drafted my pattern on my fabric actually, but I thought, why not share this tutorial? Why not share this with you guys? So that's why I'm making this video. So I'm turning over my fabric to the other side so that I can start all over again and show us how to make this beautiful dress. Right, so I have 3 yards of fabric folded into 4. Okay, that's the first 2 folds and the other 2 folds. Okay, the reason I folded into 4 is so that I can cut the back and the front at the same time. All right, so if you always follow with this channel, you know that I like to cut out the writings or the markings on my fabric, so I'll take that out before I start taking in my measurements. So I'll take from the shoulder to the waistline, shoulder to the hip line, shoulder to the length of the dress, and 2 inches hemming allowance for it. So these are the lines that I have: the waist, the hip, the length of the dress, and 2 inches to hem the lower part, okay, or to turn with your lining. Right, so now remember I folded 3 yards of fabric, so the width of the fabric is around 26 inches. Okay, you know our normal ankara is no longer up to 6 yards, so when you cut into two, I think it's no longer up to 3 yards. Okay, but folding into 4, I have like 26 inches. So what I'll do now on the shoulder line is to mark half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8. My shoulder is 16, so half of that is 8. Then I'll mark my neck width. I want a neck width of 4.5 inches and a neck depth of 5 inches. Now this can vary. Okay, you could use 4 inches, 3.5. You could do 4 by 4 or 4 by 5, depending on your size. Okay, so I'm going to start making a zigzag design. Okay, just with my free hand, just be making zigzag shapes. Okay, zigzag shapes. Then when I get to that 5 inches mark, I'll then curve in form of a sweetheart neckline. So you can see I'm doing it again. Make zigzag shapes. Okay, when you get to your 5 inches, which is your neck depth, you now curve it downwards in form of a sweetheart neckline. Okay, so this gives you this beautiful and unique neckline. Right, so the neckline for the back is the 4.5 neck width by 3 inches neck depth. Okay, so the front neckline and the back neckline are not the same. All right, so we don't want to have this zigzag neckline at the back. Now towards the tip of my fabric, I'll come down by 2 inches. You can also do 2.5 inches. Okay, and this is to slope the shoulder. All right, so from my neck width, I'll make a slanted line to the 2.5 inches or 2 inches, depending on whichever one suits your preference. All right, so afterwards I'll then mark from my shoulder line. That's my original shoulder line. Okay, from there I'll mark my chest line there. So my chest line is 9 inches plus 1 inch allowance, that's 10. So from the shoulder line I'll mark 10 inches. So that's where my armhole would be. Okay, this cowl kaftan is going to have the armhole at the upper side, so I'm just going to make a U shape just like that. Okay, for the armhole, so that's where my hands will pass through. Okay, so this is a different design and this is actually really beautiful. I'm sure you would see the end result and I'm sure you would like it. Okay, so we'll skip the waistline now. We'll go over to the hip line. We'll come back to the waistline later. Okay, so on the hip line, I'll mark quarter of the hip measurement plus 2 inches allowance. Okay, so that's what we'll do there. Then on the hem of the dress, I'm going to mark exactly what I have on the hip length. Okay, or the hip line, I'll mark exactly that on the length of the blouse of the dress. Sorry, this is the dress. All right, so now another thing you can do is to take away 1.5 inches from what you have on the hip and mark it on the length of the dress. Right, so then I'll come up by around 3 inches from the actual length of the dress. Okay, by 3 inches. Okay, so that would help me get a smooth curve. All right, I'm going to curve the hem so that it's really beautiful. Right, so I'll connect from the hip to the length of the dress. Like I said, you can also go in by 1.5 inches and slant it. Okay, just so that it will be tapered along the hem. But just know that this dress will not have a slit at the back, so you have to be careful with what you're shaping with. So from the 3 inches I came up by, I would curve to the hem of the dress just to give it that beautiful shape at the hem. Now, from the hip line, I'll come down by 3 inches, okay? And this is to shaping the cowl design. So that's it. It will be in form of an inverted S, but this is not the design I'm making. I'm just showing you what it looks like, okay? So, but I'll start making my shape from here. So from here, I'll start making it into a bat wing, just curve it down, then join it to that 3 inches we came down by the hip line. Okay, so you can keep doing it till you get the design that you want. Okay, you can see, so curving, just make sure that it curves into that 3 inches you came down by. Whatever design you make, whatever curve you make, okay, just make sure that it terminates with a curve at that 3 inches. So that's it. So this would be what I'll be sticking with, and we're actually done with this. So we'll start cutting now. Alright, so another thing you can do is to attach a keyhole to this. Okay, it's a boo-boo, it's a free dress. So if you want it to be a little bit fitted, you can attach a keyhole. So to make the keyhole, on my waistline, I'll mark quarter of the waist measurement plus 2 inches allowance. Then on that 2 inches allowance point, I'll go up by 2 inches and come down by 1 inch. Okay, so my keyhole will just be 3 inches wide. All right, so I'll just make a circle, there. So that will be my keyhole. Okay, so I'll cut that out. Okay, so if you're making this with a dress that doesn't need the lining, or you don't want to line it, you can now cut out your keyhole before cutting out the dress. Okay, then use your bias strip to knitting it or to turn it in. Okay, so I'll start cutting now. Mind you, I wouldn't be cutting my keyhole yet, and this is because I want to line this dress. Okay, so when I'm done lining the dress, I'll now cut out the keyhole, so that I'll cut the lining and the fabric at the same time, then use my bias strip to knitting it out. Okay, you can also go to your overlocker and use your weaving machine to knitting out the inside of your keyhole. You just need to be really careful, right? So I'm cutting now. Just follow your markings. I'll cut through. This is the armhole. Okay, this is where your arm will pass through, right? Then you cut to the side. Guys, if you're watching till now, please subscribe. Okay, subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to turn on your post notifications so that each time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. And trust me, I upload like once a week. Okay, right, so this is it. Right, very beautiful. So what I'll do now is to separate the front from the back. Remember that the back neckline is not the same. So I'll measure the neck width, because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that the back neck width and the front neck width are the same. You need to match. Okay, so I'll separate the back from the front. Okay, having in mind, keeping the neck width I use for the front at the back of my mind. Okay, so then you make sure you place it back together so that everything properly aligns. Then you start cutting through the zigzag neckline. This is a very unique neckline. All right, so you can see the way I'm covering in my hands just to follow that zigzag shape that I made. Okay, so that is it. Now if you want to make this design, I would suggest you use Ankara, because it will allow you or enable you use your visible interfacing on it, so that it would have weight, or to toughen it up. All right, so that it will be thicker. Then you can also line it. Okay, so it will stand right now. So this is the back, so I'll fold it back into two. Okay, then what I'll do will be to mark my neck width, making sure that it aligns with that of the front. I want to make sure, or you have to make sure that you're using the same neck width for the front and the back. All right, so what I will do will be to mark my neck width, then my neck depth is 3 inches. Now you can do as low as 2 inches or 1.5. Now the thing is to note that this dress will not have a zipper at the back. Okay, so you need to make the neckline wide enough to accommodate your head. Okay, so that your head can easily pass through. All right, so you can do the neck width by 2 inches, 2.5, 1.5, whatever suits your style or your preference. Okay, so this is it. This is the front and this is the back. So I'll go and cut my lining, okay, the same way, then get my interfacing. Okay, you can use gum stay, but I'm using a thicker interfacing. It's thicker than gum stay. Okay, that's what I'll use. So you cut your keyhole after turning with your lining, right? So I'm going to show us the interfacing I used to do this. All right, so very thick interfacing so that it will be strong, so that it will stand. Right, then I want to open up the neckline so that you can see. All right, so you can see the beautiful design on the neckline. It's very unique and very pretty. So you can see this is the zigzag shape and it ends with a sweetheart neckline. Okay, so super beautiful. So what I would do is to go cut that interfacing. This is a thick gum stay. You can see it's super thick. You can see the thickness. Right, it's strong, so this would help it to stand. Okay, so when you're sewing, it's not falling off. So I'll go and trim out the excess on the gum stay, but I've interfaced it. Okay, I've used my iron to hold it down. Then I've also trimmed it off. Now so you can see I've trimmed it off, still following and maintaining my zigzag shape. Then I've cut out my lining. Okay, also following and maintaining your zigzag shape. So I'm going to use the lining to turn the front. You reduce the length of your line. You can say I reduce the length of my lining, okay, so that it's not poking out of the dress. So use the lining to turn it. You can see the way I stitched it, okay, using 1/2 inch. Then after stitching it like this, following all the curves, you can see how the curves are very pointy. Then you're going to come in with your scissors to give it notches, very good notches. Okay, notch in between those points, all those creased areas, all those inside places. You need to notch them open very well so that everything will lay really flat. You can see how I notched. Now, so I've turned with my line. You can see very beautiful. All the inside is super clean and beautiful. Right, so this is it. Now what I'll then do is to go and open up my keyhole. You can see how beautiful this is. Okay, so you can make your dress with a very clean finishing. All right, so use the lining to turn the neckline and turn the sides and the lower part, then push them all out from the shoulder area. Okay, you push them all out, then give it a good press. Now remember what we did for our keyhole. We came down by 18 inches, which is my half length. So from the shoulder I'll mark 18 inches. Then on that 18 inches point, I'll mark my waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Then I'll go up by 2 inches and come down by 1 inch and make a circle at that point. Okay, and that would be my keyhole. Right, so 2 inches upwards, 1 inch downward. Then you make a circle. Yeah, so that's my keyhole. So what I'll go do now will be to get the scissors, okay, then pull it together, put the 4 of them together. Okay, it's now unfold. So I have the front, because it's unfold, I have the front folded into 2, the back folded into 2, plus the lining. So it's going to be thicker now and difficult to cut. So get the very sharp scissors, okay, then cut through the circle. You need to be careful so that you don't cut more than you require or cut less than you need. Okay, it's actually better you cut less. You can actually now trim it to the exact keyhole that you want. So after doing this, you get your bias strip, use it to tape round in the keyhole. Okay, you can also use your overlocker, your weaving machine, okay, to hold it down, to weave it round. Okay, it also gives you a very smooth keyhole. All right, so these are the 2 easiest methods I know for making your keyhole very neat. Right, so I'm done sewing with my bias strip. Okay, you can see my keyhole. It's really beautiful. Okay, I just use the bias to hold to tape it round. You can see my bias at the back. So that's it. It's easier than doing all those little all those super things you need to do. So this works. So you can see what I'll do now is to go turn this right side facing right sides. Okay, join the shoulder area, then sew with 1 inch, okay, all the way round through the back ring and to the hem of the dress, all the way around. Now I want you to know that after doing your keyhole, it's going to be difficult to move inside the fabric. Just hold the shoulders together, sew the 2 shoulders first, okay, then before you can now put your hands and gently flip it so that you can sew the sides. Okay, so I'm done sewing and I also made a strip of fabric as a belt, and this is how beautiful this turned out to be. Super beautiful. Like, videos and pictures do not do justice to this. So if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in my next video. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for always being here. I love you. I have so much love for you. Thank you. Alright, so till I see you next time, this is Learn to Sew with Nani. If you have questions, I'm right there in the comment section to answer to all of your questions. Bye.